This lesson's on adjacent and vertical angles. I'm calling this part 1 because we're going to have a second part to this as well. In this lesson, let's go ahead and talk about vocabulary. One of the things that we're going to do is classify the angles. As you can see, an acute angle is an angle that is less than 90 degrees. And in the middle part of that column, you can see visually how an acute angle looks like. The next part is the right or complementary angle, and that is equal to 90 degrees. A lot of times the angle is going to be referencing off of the 90 degrees because it's either less than 90 degrees or greater than 90 degrees. The third angle is called the obtuse angle, and as you can see, the obtuse angle is greater than 90 but less than 180 degrees. And the supplementary or the straight line is going to be equal to 180 degrees. So your reference is a lot of times is going to be that 90 degrees, which is that right or complementary angle, or the supplementary, because angles will fall either less than or greater than those two reference angles. Now let's talk about how to read and write angles. As you can see, there's a little angle sign right there, and that angle sign is a little different from the less than and greater than sign. As you can see, there's a little more of a flat line going on right here versus the less than or greater than symbol. And then there are going to be 3 letters. So the first letter is going to be one point of the side, and then the middle letter is always going to be the vertex, also known as the corner. And then the third letter will be the other side. There is like a square and a rectangle all kind of put together. And so when we have the angle B and it's going to go to point D, and then from there, it's going to go from D to E. Draw that line from D to E. And the angle that we're talking about is this angle right here, which is the angle D. So as you can see, there are 3 letters. That middle letter is going to be your corner or the vertex as we know it. So that is important because how you write that will translate differently from the actual picture. So we'll do some of those practices as well. Let's look at example 1. We're going to classify the different angles on the clock hand. In letter A, at 9 o'clock, what is that angle called? It is called a right angle. In letter B, we can see that the clock is between 8 and the other hand is at 2. So that creates a classification angle of a supplementary because it is a straight line. So that's going to look like 180 degrees right there. Letter C, when we look at the clock hand between 11 and 1, that is creating an angle that is called an acute angle because it is less than 90 degrees. In letter D, we have a clock hand that is pointing at 10 and 3. What is that angle called? It is called an obtuse angle because it is greater than 90 degrees, but less than 180. Now let's look at example 2. We're going to go ahead and create the different angles, have you classify the name of the angles. For the first one, letter A, if we have an angle that is D, B, E, and so I'm going to go ahead and draw that out. So angle D, B, and E is going to be this angle right here. So we're talking about this angle right here. What is that called? It is called an acute angle. Okay, let's do letter B. If I have an angle DBA, and we're going to go ahead and draw that out. So I have D, B, and then A. So it's going to go out this way now. What is that angle called? It is an obtuse angle. Let's do letter C. If we have an angle that is FEB, and let's go ahead and draw that out. So F is over here, E and B, that's going to go up straight there. That's going to be called a right angle. And last one, letter D. If we have an A, B, and C, so we have as A, B, and C, what is that angle called? It is called supplementary because it is a straight line and 180 degrees.